Good evening and welcome to the May 18, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Historic Preservation Commission. My name is Bob Sutton and I'm the chair, and I'd like for the members of the commission to introduce themselves. First, the ones that are here in person, and then the ones that are remote.
Jeffrey Haynes.
Mark Clements.
Remote.
Karen Burdett.
Thank you.
Cristina Arado.
Thank you. The first order of business tonight is to review projects that have historic area work permits. Have the work permits been duly advertised?
Yes, and this is staff member Michael Kine for the
Oh, I'm
record.
sorry. Yes, the staff members too. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And yes, the work permits have been advertised. They were advertised in the May 4th edition of the Washington Times.
Thank you. And other staff members.
Dan Bruckert, Historic Preservation staff, is also in attendance.
Thank you. So we will review projects that we believe can be expedited. And are there any? Is there anyone here tonight to wait a second here? Is there anyone to testify against the project at 7417 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park, 7001 Westmoreland Avenue, Tacoma Park, 2106 Salisbury Road, Silver Spring, parcel 770 lot, Brookville, 7 East Melrose Street, Chevy Chase, and 7318 Willow Avenue, Tacoma Park.
Mr. Chair, hearing no objections, I move that we approve the following historic area work permits in accordance with the staff reports based upon the record before us and in consideration of the recommendations of the local advisory panels, including any conditions recommended by staff. HOP number 989855 at 7417 Maple Avenue, Tacoma Park. HOP number 983975 at 7001 Westmoreland Avenue, Tacoma Park. HOP number 991353 at 2106 Salisbury Road, Silver Spring. HOP number 867436 revised at parcel 770 lot 1 in Brookville. HOP number 991526 at 7 East Melrose Street, Chevy Chase. And HOP number 991177 at 7318 Willow Avenue, Tacoma Park.
Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Haynes. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. All of these projects are unanimously approved, and thank you for putting together projects that can very easily be approved by us. We appreciate the work you've done, and our staff is available to discuss any further thing you need on these cases. Thank you. Now we will have a hearing on 16101 Oak Hill Road in Sandy Spring. I'm sorry, yes, Sandy Spring. Is there a staff report?
Yes, there is, and I would like to correct the record. This is in Silver Spring.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
I looked at the.
The agenda notes that it's in Sandy Spring, and that was carried over to the staff report that was posted, but this is actually in Silver Spring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes, this project is at 16101 Oak Hill Road, Silver Spring. This is master plan site number 1552, Edgewood 2. And it is a circa 1858 house with later additions. The proposal is to replace the existing wood porch flooring on both the south, which is the original dwelling, and the west, which is the north addition, porches with AZEC porch flooring. The applicable guidelines are Montgomery County Code, Chapter 24A8, and the Secretary of the Interior's Standards for Rehabilitation. The historic house consists of the original circa 1858 2.5-story dwelling to the south and a later rear wing addition, which was built circa 1903 to the north. The original dwelling fronts on Spencerville Road to the south, while the north wing is accessed via Oak Hill Road from the west, and this is now experienced as the front. So this is a photograph from my site visit looking at the property from across the opposite side of Spencerville Road. And this is looking at the property from the opposite side of Oak Hill Road. The application states that the work is being proposed due to continuing rot and deterioration, requiring several previous replacements on both porches. And some photographs supplied by the applicant. This is the porch on the west porch. So this is on the north addition. And this is the front, the original dwelling. And just some photographs of the issues that the applicant is dealing with here. Again, from the application. So staff does not support the applicant's proposal. Both porches are significant architectural features, with the south porch located on the original primary elevation and the west porch being experienced as the current front of the building. Accordingly, staff finds that both porches are character-defining features of the property in terms of design and material. Although the application indicates that the existing porch flooring is not original material, having been previously replaced, it is traditional material, which is appropriate and in keeping with the character and dates of construction of the historic house. In the past, the commission has found that AZEC does not accurately reflect the characteristics or appearance of wood, and they found it an inappropriate and incompatible material, especially where it would replace traditional materials on features at the front of an individually significant historic building. Per preservation best practices, original and/or traditional materials on historic features should only be replaced with substitute materials in cases where the original or traditional materials are no longer available. Otherwise, the historic character and material integrity of the property will be impaired. Per the staff report, staff finds that the proposal will remove and/or alter character-defining materials and features of the property, which is inconsistent with standards number 2 and 9, which I believe we're all familiar with, and they're on the screen in front of you. And although it was not specified in the staff report, staff also finds the proposal inconsistent with standard number 6, which states deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and where possible, materials. The Secretary of the Interior's illustrated standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings state the following regarding the replacement of deteriorated historic materials and features. Following repair in the hierarchy, rehabilitation guidance is provided for replacing an entire character-defining feature with new material because the level of deterioration or damage of materials precludes repair. If the missing feature is character-defining or if it is critical to the survival of the building, example given here is a roof, it should be replaced to match the historic feature based on physical or historic documentation of its form and detailing. As with repair, the preferred option is always replacement of the entire feature in kind, i.e. with the same material such as wood for wood. However, when this is not feasible, a compatible substitute material that can reproduce the overall appearance of the historic material may be considered. And as noted, the Commission has found in the past that AZEC does not accurately reflect the characteristics or appearance of wood. And the following tables from the illustrated guidelines are relevant to this case. And I've just highlighted a couple of the examples from these tables. So treatments that are not recommended for wood replacement, removing or substantially changing wood features which are important in defining the overall historic character of the building so that as a result the character is diminished. Also, failing to identify and treat the causes of wood deterioration, such as faulty flashing, leaking gutters, cracks and holes in siding, deteriorated caulking and joints and seams, plant material growing close to the wood surfaces, insect or fungal infestation. And also, I would like to highlight here, not recommended, removing a wood feature that is unrepairable and not replacing it, or replacing it with a new feature that does not match. And in addition, using substitute material for the replacement that does not convey the same appearance of the surviving components of the wood feature. So regarding appropriate replacement that will address the issues of continuing rot and deterioration, the Department of the Interior's Technical Preservation Services Preservation Brief number 45, Preserving Historic Wood Porches, provides information regarding repair, replacement, and maintenance to extend the life of a porch. In discussing replacement, the brief states that before replacing a deteriorated historic porch component, it is important to understand how it was constructed and installed and what led to its deterioration. If the replacement part does not sufficiently match the historic part, the character of the porch may be diminished or even lost. If the cause of material failure is not addressed, the replacement will also fail. The brief also discusses the importance of considering species, grade, grain, and environmental impacts when selecting wood for replacement or repair work, as dimensional stability, decay resistance, and paint holding ability are wood characteristics that affect durability. The brief includes the following table, which I'll show you in a moment on the next slide, comparing different wood species in terms of their decay resistance, stability, and ability to hold paint, all of which contribute to the lifespan of wood porch components, including flooring. Per this table, there are several species of wood, including redwood, cedar, cypress, and American mahogany, which would be appropriate options for the proposed porch flooring replacement. The brief specifically states that vertical grain Douglas fir is a very good choice for the replacement of porch floorboards in most climates. And this is the chart I was referring to, and this was in the staff report, so hopefully you've all had a time to look at it. But I can refer back to this if we need to. So staff recommends that the applicant consult this table and explore alternatives in selecting an appropriate and compatible replacement material. Staff also recommends that despite wood selection, all 6 surfaces, so the front, back, both sides, and both ends of the replacement floorboard should be primed prior to installation to protect against moisture-related rot and prolong the life of the flooring. And this recommended approach would qualify for the county's historic rehabilitation tax credit. So my recommendation is that the commission deny the HOP application under the criteria for issuance in Chapter 24A8A, having found that the proposal would be inappropriate, inconsistent with, and detrimental to the preservation, enhancement, and ultimate protection of the historic resource, and is incompatible in character with the resource and the purposes of Chapter 24A, and with the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, numbers 2, 6, and 9. And I will conclude there, and I can take any questions you have for me. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? If not, I will ask the, I have 3 names here, Lisa Berry, Steve Godelski, and Barry Godelski. So if you could come up to the table here. There are microphones here. You can push the button on the microphone when the light around the speaker or the microphone part comes on. You can speak, and if you could give your names for the record, that would be wonderful. And you'll have 7 minutes. You can either use that to testify, answer questions. We will not cut into your 7 minutes. Should you choose to use that time for your testimony, but we would ask that you would welcome questions when you've concluded. So if you could go ahead, introduce yourselves, and do your testimony, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm Lisa Berry. Is that 7 minutes combined or for
Combined,
each of us?
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Stephen Godelski, and this is Barry Godelski. I'm going to start. The reason we're asking for the change in material is when we bought the house, it was a 1x6 porch, and around the side on the Oak Hill Road porch, under the wraparound, it used to wrap around as a porch, and under the building that was built on top of it, we saw the 2-inch tongue and groove. So we did a renovation in 2007, and we replaced that porch with tongue and groove. I believe it was a hard pine that was primed and sealed all around, and it lasted about 5 years. The rain comes in on the southwest corner of that porch. The gutters are inside the columns, and it's just a low porch. It should have been done with a gap between. It shouldn't have been tongue and groove. That's probably why it was replaced in the first place. So that's why I was proposing that as the ASIC board, they've come out with some newer products that I thought looked just like the wood. And I thought maybe you guys would approve that stuff now, but no problem. So what I am proposing is that we replace it with a wood product, but we need to have a space in there. We can't do a tongue and groove like it used to be. Is that something you would approve? That's where my thinking is. I think Lisa has a little different thinking.
Okay, well, I just feel like no matter what we put down there, it's just going to rot out again because of how fast the previous porches have rotted out. And I don't think we would have even proposed this had I not emailed or called somebody, I forget who it was on the committee, and they told me that hardy plank had been, hardy board or hardy plank had been approved at some of your previous projects, historic projects. And we had a lot of wood to be replaced on the outside of the house, and we used real wood. We made sure we got real wood to do the outside of the house. So if hardy plank has been approved on other historic properties, I don't see what the difference is in using, you know, something like AZEC. We got a whole lot of different samples from different companies, and a lot of them look like real wood. And I just think, I don't know, there's been just so much invested in this house to get it to back to, you know, a decent condition after so many years of it rotting away, that I just think that if we could just put some kind of a porch floor down that will last, and that we don't have to do this every 5 or 6 years. And like Steven said, it was all primed and painted, and I said to him, I said, look at these floors again. What's going on? Why do they keep rotting out? So,
Totally taken up in 2008 and redone, structure and everything.
I mean, we have some samples with us if you want to see. I know there's tons of them about on the market.
But you can see the.
Some
grain
have wood
in-
grain in them, and
And
there's-
some come natural, and you can paint them any color you want. But even this is, I would propose cutting the tongue and groove off and making this a 2 1/4 or 2.5 inch, just straight side with a nail gap in between each one, so the water can get through. The water can drain through the deck. Because right now it's just sitting on top and the wood's disintegrating.
Yeah, we would appreciate you guys considering this, because it actually.
Could you
Sorry.
state your name?
Yes, Barry Godelski.
Thank you.
And we would appreciate you guys considering this particular style and element, because actually it looks more like a wood grain compared to the painted lumber. And obviously, if it's primed and painted, you're not really going to see the wood grain anyway. This gives it actually more of a historic-looking wood look, because you can actually see the grain on this, which will last, obviously, our lifetime. So that's about the only thing we want to add to that.
Anything else?
Not really.
Okay, are you, we would, I will now ask if there are any questions from the commission. Commissioner Haynes.
Thank you. I just wanted to get a little bit of understanding of kind of the site conditions, which are a little hard to tell. How much room under the porch between the underside of the boards and the ground is there? Do you feel that there's sufficient clearance or?
Oh, we've excavated, we have some pictures right there. We've actually excavated on there, put the stone down. We try to do various things to reduce humidity, runoff, drainage, angles, to prevent all these things from happening. So yes,
What you're looking at in the 12 inch. Front porch is probably a little bit closer to 16. It's 2 steps up, so you're 14 to 16.
And you said the downspouts are concealed in the columns, and does the water get collected and from a subterranean pipe?
There's drain tile away from the house about 10 to 12 feet. goes through the outside, the far right column and the far left column. And the front porch is an exterior.
And so really, the amount of moisture or any moisture that the porch experiences is primarily rain-driven water and humidity. That's
You
pretty
can
much.
see on the right-hand side of the picture where the sunspot is on the deck.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of the damage is. We've taken up the porch on the left because that whole left side is always there. Falling down.
And this wood that's on there that we're looking at is, I believe you said hard pine?
Exactly what it is, it's a pine.
It's a pine, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Radu, did you have your hand raised?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Commissioner Burdett, did you have any questions?
I guess one question I would have is, they talked about excavating underneath that porch some, but is there any type of vapor barrier or underneath that area, or any means to channel the water away faster or to keep the moisture from migrating upward?
We have done some grading. We have done some grading, and it is graded away. And there is drainage. We could get back under there when we replace the porch boards too. But I don't think there is a moisture problem under the porch. I think it's driven from the south towards where that light is on the porch. At least that's where we've seen most of the rain driven. You can see it even on the front board where the paint's gone.
To answer part of your question, there's a bigger opening on the left and right sides, which you can't see from this angle. That's got a bigger opening than you see in the front there. So yes, we've done as many things as we can do to increase the airflow under there to keep that moisture down or eliminate it completely.
And you'd mentioned at the beginning of your talk about possibly going with another wood product, but changing from tongue and groove to just a plank.
Right, I don't feel tongue and groove is helping the puddling of water any. The water's sitting on top of the porch. It needs to at least be able to drain through the structure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clemens, do you have any questions? Would you like to say anything else? If not, we will shut down the discussion and have our discussion among our commission members.
The only thing I would re-add is if we have no alternative to the synthetic and we went back to the wood, recommendations on Stephen's design of having the gaps between the wood.
I beg your pardon, I didn't hear.
Of having the gaps between the wood.
Okay.
Rather than the tongue.
Rather than tongue and groove, but using a wood product.
And you're proposing like strong 1/16 of an inch gap?
Yeah, a 16-penny nail, something you put in between each board, just like you're doing normal decking.
Which is more like an eighth or so. Is that what we're saying?
We can do anything,
Okay.
but there needs to be a gap.
I mean, in contemporary deck installation, gaps are usually upwards of a 1/4 inch, is what I've seen typically done. So I think
It doesn't
if we're going
have to be that big.
okay. I mean, a smaller gap is certainly more appealing than a larger gap. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
we have, before we discuss this among ourselves, we have several options, I believe. One of them is that we can vote on this project that's before us as a commission, and we'll either approve it or not approve it. We could defer it for more information, which I don't think we can really do because we have, we have all the information in front of us. The other option, you could withdraw your application. I believe that is appropriate from staff. I just want to make sure that that is correct. You could withdraw your application. You could come back with another application along the lines that you were discussing. Bring that back before the commission, and then we would vote on that. So you have the wonderful opportunity of letting me know what your preference is, because we can vote on this. We have it before us. We can vote on it if you would like. And so.
Okay, so if you do vote on it, does that mean we could still come back again later with another proposal? If you vote no?
What would happen, actually,
Will you vote yes with recommendations?
no, because we don't have any recommendations in front of us, so we can't do that. That's not one of our options. We can vote yes or no with what the information we have, or you can ask for it. I don't really believe we can defer it because we have, the information that we have in front of us is complete, right? It would have to be an incomplete application.
I would say if the commission finds that it does not have sufficient information to make a decision, they could defer it. Otherwise, I think the commission is very familiar with AZEC and
Right.
synthetic materials, and of course with traditional materials, so I think they have all information in front of them. I did mean to interject earlier. It may be important for the record if we ask the applicants to clarify whether the issues they're having on this porch, the west porch on the north addition, whether they're having the same issues on the front porch, so the south porch on the original dwelling, because I didn't hear them mention that at all. So just maybe some clarification as to what exactly is being proposed and what the issues are here, and if both porches are in fact intended to be included in the application.
You would see it on the south porch on the far left behind the saw. That's the only place it's starting to buckle. But we didn't know in coming in here, my fault, I didn't read and see that both porches were considered significant. I was thinking maybe the other porch, not the south porch, would be a candidate for the ASIC, since that's what we're using for our main porch. And then we could use that material to rebuild the south porch.
This house, from what I understand, is an integrated whole, although part
Excuse
of it
me?
was built earlier. The addition is part of the whole of the house. Is that correct? I have not looked at
The addition is part of
listing.
1900
Correct?
edition.
That's correct, yeah. When
Yeah.
this property was designated, the addition, of course, was already built. It was, the date we have for it is circa 1903, so it was designated for the original dwelling as well as the addition, all of it being found significant.
So, Ms. Berry, to answer your question, if we vote against it, you have the option of taking it to the Board of Appeals, the County Board of Appeals, and you have 30 days to do that. So that would be the option if we, and that's no secret. I mean, that's part of our regulations, so that would be the option you'd have if we deny it.
That's all we're voting. I don't care, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Okay, so,
I'm giving you one option, because you had mentioned that you would consider using wood rather than AZAC. Right, I would. And so if you would like to do that, you can withdraw your application, bring it back, take it to staff, bring it back, and we can vote on it then. That is something that we would be willing to do, correct? I think all of us are looking there to see if you're nodding out there in TV land. Yes, I believe we all would be comfortable with that if that's the option you choose. If not, we will vote on the application we have in front of us.
Okay, and just for one clarification, if we withdraw the application, come back with a different type of wood with a gap in there, that's how we would probably present it.
I would say you can work with staff. I think the main issue here, and I'm speaking for myself, not for the commission, I believe the main issue is that the material needs to be wood. And I don't think anybody on earth has any idea what this looked like originally, exactly what it was originally. I think that you have some flexibility because you are not replacing something that is original on the structure. You said that you replaced everything 5 years or so ago, and I'm sure it was replaced before that and probably before that. So,
Before that, when we bought it, it was 1x6
right.
decking, rounded edges.
So you would have a little bit of, you would have some flexibility because we don't know what it looked like originally. But the main thing is that the wood is a very important part, as you can see from all of the information that Michael Kine presented, that's a very important part of preservation on a historic house. So there you go.
Mr. Chair, another thing to consider that may be important is if the applicant comes back with a proposal for wood, they should work with us as staff
Oh, absolutely.
first. And perhaps if we, working as a team, you and staff, find that the wood would constitute a replacement in kind or in-kind repair, we could maybe approve this at the staff level with just a letter because it would be repair work. So that is another thing to consider in perhaps withdrawing.
We have looked at, gosh, many, let's just say many porches. Staff has looked at many porches. They can be very, very helpful in helping you with that.
Don't doubt that. I was just hoping that in some applications you are going to accept this product in the future. It's not going to go away.
I can't speak to that, sir. Sorry. So if you want to discuss it, I'll give you a couple of minutes. This is the only hearing that we have on our agenda tonight, so.
Okay, just to ask once again, if you vote and you say no, can we reapply?
We may not have to if we do it at staff level.
I know, but can we, I mean. we
As I
can-
said, the option that we have from here is if we deny it, you can take this to the Board of Appeals.
Okay.
And you have 30
and Mr.
days to make the application.
And Mr. Chair, they could submit a substantially different application later on, and that proposing would be a substantially different application. And again, you could work with staff in that case, and we would help you get to the point where we could approve this at the staff level, hopefully. But yeah.
But
there is-
from our end, we have a procedure, and our procedure is if we deny a project, you can go to the Board of Appeals. So that's how we look at this. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so why don't you go ahead and vote, and then,
I'm sorry?
we would like you to vote, and then we'll
Okay.
go from there.
Well, first of all, before we vote, is there any discussion? Would anyone like to make any comments or discussion before we vote?
This is Commissioner Radu. I would like
Right.
to
Yes.
just make a comment. For the owner who noted that the replacement wood material was used on other projects. Of course, we don't compare projects, but I want to just remind everyone that this is not just a historic district house. It's a individual listed house. Is that correct? Is that
Yes.
my understanding?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's very different from
So
some of the other
we
ones.
apply different standards. The Secretary of the Interior, in general, treats differently historic structures that are individually listed versus houses that are in historic districts, which are more significant for volume and materials and not individual. I mean, the historic features are perceived differently under the standards.
Thank you, Commissioner Radu. And let me just elaborate a little bit more. The districts, historic districts, have the county ordinance that deals with historic preservation, but they also, each one has their own standards for that particular district, and some of them are a little different than others. So this is a very significant building. This is an individually listed building, and so this is something we take very seriously, how it's treated. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I would welcome a motion, and just to sort of go through the options we have, we can either vote yes to approve the project as it's presented to us. We can vote no to deny the project. We can defer the project, but in my opinion, deferring it, really, we have all the information in front of us for this project. I don't think deferment would, but if someone would like to make a motion to defer, that's fine too. So with that, I would welcome a motion on this project.
This is Commissioner Burda. I make a motion that we vote to deny this application based on the staff report and findings as presented.
Thank you. And for the record, this case is number 990754, HOP number 990754. I'd like to do a roll call vote on this, so I'm going to start with you all out there. Commissioner Radu?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a second. We need a second. Do we need to second this motion?
It's Commissioner Haynes, I'll second the motion.
Commissioners, we have a second. So Commissioner Radu, do you vote? Now, if you vote yes, that means you're voting to deny the project, okay?
Oh, okay. So I will vote yes. So I'm supporting. I agree with the motion.
Commissioner Burdett,
I vote yes to deny.
thank you. Commissioner Haynes,
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
and this is Chair Sutton. I vote yes as well. So the project has been denied. As I said, you have the option of taking this to the Board of Appeals. You have 30 days to appeal to the Board of Appeals. However, you can also work with the staff to come up with a completely different HOP if you choose to do that as well. Because I believe that is correct. I went through all of the different things, but anyway, thank you for coming.
We thank
hope
you for your time and guidance.
that we can work with you on this project. It's a wonderful house, and our goal is to preserve it. The other thing that Mr. Kine did state in his report is that should you use the correct materials on this, you can apply for a county tax project, right?
Historic preservation
Historic
tax credit,
preservation tax, yes. So that's an option that you have as well. So thank you very much for coming. Okay. Do we have minutes from May 4th? I was not in attendance, so I did not review the minutes. Did anyone have a chance to review the minutes?
This is Commissioner Burdett. I reviewed the minutes and I make a motion that we approve the minutes from Wednesday, May 4th, 2022.
Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Clements. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thank you. Do we have any commission items? I believe we have one staff item.
Yes,
Or-
Mr. Chair, we actually have two
Two
staff
staff, I'm
items.
sorry, we have two staff items.
So the first is the consideration of the Epperly Tenant House variance request and transmission of letter of support to the Board of Appeals. So this case was actually heard as a preliminary consultation back on December 15th, 2021. This is the Grafton Holland Master Plan site out on Brighton Dam Road. And part of their proposal was to remove or demo a tenant house, which was found to be deteriorated beyond repair. It's at the front of the property in front of the main house. The commission voiced full support for that proposal. However, again, because the tenant house is a secondary structure in front of the main house, they will require a variance from the Board of Appeals. So the application has been transmitted to the commission. It's on their board books, as well as the draft letter to the Board of Appeals. And the vote should be to whether or not to transmit that letter to the board.
Let's have a separate vote on this. Do I have a motion for this letter? And I'll speak at once.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Epperly Tenant House variance request and transmission letter of support to the Board of Appeal.
Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Clements, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And we have another another staff item.
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. The second staff item is a revision to an approved hop at 8 Primrose Street in Chevy Chase. That case number is 984993. And this will alter the fenestration in the rear, changing the shape of some of the windows and enlarging the non-historic rear bay to a 2-story bay. None of the work will be visible from the public right-of-way, and staff recommends approval of the work.
Is there a motion for this project?
I'll make a
This is
motion.
Commissioner Rado.
Go ahead.
Christina.
I make a motion to approve the changes proposed by the applicant and suggested, recommended by the staff for the property at 8 Primrose Street, hop number 984993.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Haynes. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. With nothing else, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Glad